Girlie, are you ready to bury some bodies? This podcast exists because vague motivation just isn't enough in this new era. This is for the girlies who need language for decisions, who need frameworks for growth. This is for the girlies intentionally building lives that look different without an example. This is the Pretty and Powerful Blueprint. Elevation requires a funeral. Girlie, are you ready to bury some bodies? Now, I'm not talking about anything literal. I'm talking about habits, versions, attachments that can't survive where you're headed. When we talk about the elevation shift, we're not talking about a glow up. We're not talking about a rebrand. We're talking about the internal decision to stop operating from an outdated version of yourself. Elevation doesn't start with adding more. It starts with removing what no longer fits. And this is where most people get stuck. Not because they aren't capable, but because they're still loyal to who they used to be. You don't rise into a new level by thinking the same way with better aesthetics. You rise by shifting how you make decisions. The real cost of elevation isn't money, and it's not time either. It's identity. It's releasing patterns that once protected you, and it's retiring habits that helped you to survive, but definitely can't help you lead. Some versions of you were built for a season that's already over. It's dead and gone, girlies. And elevation requires you to acknowledge that without guilt. Elevation asks you to let go of what's familiar, even when what's familiar feels safe. Most people don't even resist the elevation. They resist the uncertainty. They resist the feeling of being uncomfortable. They resist not knowing who they're going to be once they let go of those old versions. They resist outgrowing those rooms, those routines, and most importantly, those relationships that once felt like home. There is grief in elevation, and we just don't talk about that enough, girlies. You can be grateful for who you were and the lessons you learned and the people you encountered and the relationships that you've built, and still be honest that you can't stay there if you expect to do something different. Loyalty to who you used to be will cost you where you're trying to go. And I'm talking about cost, honey, cost. The shift doesn't require perfection. It's going to require honesty, though. Honesty about what no longer fits, about where you've been avoiding change, about the habits that you keep defending. Clarity doesn't come first. Movement does. You don't have to know every step. You just have to stop moving like the old version of you. So I want you to grab your journals and I want you to sit with these prompts. You don't have to rush them. What version of me has expired? What habits am I defending that no longer serve me? Where am I trying to elevate without shifting? What would change if I moved differently this quarter? Girlies, this quarter isn't about doing more. It's about doing different. The elevation shift is the moment you stop negotiating with the past and start choosing what supports where you're going next. Now, this conversation doesn't end here. It continues in the choices you make after the episode. I've given you the motivation, I've poured into your cup, and now it's your turn to put it into action. Remember, walking into this new era is going to require participation. So I'm rolling out these mini activations. They're just little intentional steps that you'll take after each episode. And I want you to think of them as your personal action steps to live out what we're actually talking about. Make sure you're following me on all my platforms, _and the details with 2 S's, so you can jump into those mini activations and start turning this motivation into real habits. We're about to walk into this next era together, and trust me, I'm right there beside you every step of the way. We'll continue next time.